inside for about 1.5 hours. Exactly inside, we are not exactly sure as to how much, how much of questioning they were able to complete today. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on her way out from Abhishek Banerjee's residence. You can see she is actually leaving the house with Abhishek's daughter.
Everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Marya. There is a new front in the war for West Bengal. In the face of anti-incumbency, rebellion and an aggressive saffron campaign for power, the CBI is now at the door of Mamta Banerjee's family in connection to the multi-crore coal scam. A CBI team grilled Trinamool Congress MP Abhishek Banerjee's wife Rujira for over an hour about her financial transactions, suspecting a link to the coal scam money trail. The CBI says she evaded questions on her finances, namely an account in her name in Bangkok, which has allegedly received proceeds from the illegal coal trade. The CBI alleges Rujira Banerjee is acquainted with the circumstances of the coal theft case, but she is not named in the case. On Monday, the CBI examined Rujira's sister, Menika Gambhir, for over 2 hours in connection with the same case. She was quizzed about her offshore accounts in London and a suspected link to the coal scam money trail. In November last year, the CBI carried out raids across 4 states, and on Friday, the agency turned its attention to 13 locations in 4 districts of Bengal in a crackdown on the coal scam kingpins Anup Maji and Jaydev Mondal. With 2 of her relatives under the scanner, weeks before elections, Mamata Banerjee visited her nephew's residence before the CBI team landed there as a show of solidarity. The TMC has accused the centre of intimidation and vendetta politics, pointing fingers at Mamata's former aide Mukul Roy, who is an accused in the Sharada and Narada scams and is now one of the leaders of the anti-TMC charge in battleground Bengal. Now, the investigation into the coal scam has been on for months. But this focus on Mamta Banerjee's family comes just weeks ahead of the polls. So, is this just a standard turn in the investigation or a targeted move to directly taint Mamta Banerjee in a bid to charge the Bhaipo pitch against the TMC, like the BJP successfully mobilized the Damad strike against the Congress? Is this pure politics or a real crackdown on corruption? Joining me on the show, Guru Prakash, BJP spokesperson, Radhika Ramaseshan, columnist, Sabha Naqvi, senior journalist, Riju Datta, TMC leader. Radhika, I'm going to begin with you. Can this ammunition of alleged corruption reaching the doorstep of Mamta Banerjee's family be strong enough charge, or will it be seen as vendetta?
You know, I think, first of all, it's definitely going to fuel the BJP's campaign about Vanshwad, a plank which has taken off very successfully the country over, because wherever they've attacked these family parties and the dynasts, the legatees, so to speak, the campaign has taken off. The BJP has been talking about Mamta's corruption, or Mamta government's corruption, both during the Cyclone Relief Fund distribution, and then you have the legacy of Sarada and Narada, and the other one, the Rose
Valley.
Yeah. And from time to time, her nephew's wife's name has cropped up in connection with certain cases, notably one regarding the customs seizing certain objects from her luggage when she returned from Bangkok once. So, you know, people are very familiar with the circumstances, with the incidents. So I think this is just going to add to the BJP's campaign with this revolving around this whole Vanshwad plank. Now
So you're talking about the dynasty angle to this. So Sabha, before I bring in my politician panelists. Sabha, a word from you. Can Abhishek Banerjee really be that albatross around Mamata Banerjee's neck? Because she has clean image, undoubtedly. And will this charge reaching her doorstep now tarnish that image?
Look, there is possibility that sympathy for she is not really a punch person. She is a single woman who has made it on her own. Let's also not forget that such kind of inquiries are very, very selectively used. Never forget what Mukul Roy, corruption charges of Mukul Roy and Suvendu Adhikari, who were both caught on camera taking bribes. So we all know the larger danger, even if we get away from the politics of the state, is the use of investigative agency CBI against parties who are fighting the Bharatiya Janata Party. Right now, it would also be worthwhile to ask, when Pamela Goswami, a BJP youth leader, is caught with cocaine, is that why is their CBI not, they investigated Riya Chakravarti and Bollywood film industries with so much venom. Are they going to drag all the people that she's named out there? So I'm not saying, I'm just saying it's selective. It is so clearly selective to anybody.
Okay, Guru Prakash, respond to this, and then I'll bring in Riju Datta.
Pardon?
Marya, you see, I have a list of scams that has happened in the course of last 10 years in the regime of TMC government in West Bengal. Like Radhika ji also mentioned, Narda, Sarda, Rashan, Amphan, now the recent coal scam. There are also allegations that Rujira was caught with 2 kilograms of gold, and she used her influence to run away from that. So you have to, as a TMC worker, as a TMC leader, they need to confront these difficult questions and they have to answer this. The problem is that the overarching politics of corruption in West Bengal, it has been the leitmotif of the TMC government. You want to start a new shop in Kolkata, you have to pay a cut to the local TMC goon. You want to start a new venture in the entire state of West Bengal, you have to pay an extortion rate. So this is something which I have a problem with. Why in a democratic state, why do you have to resort to such measures? And another very brief point, in the recent Amphan scam, when the Calcutta High Court is investigating it, the TMC government has gone on to file an affidavit saying that we don't want any regulatory oversight of CAG. If you are so spotless, chor ki dadi mein tinka.
This particular case was registered in November last year. So can the TMC really say that the timing is a suspect and it is linked to elections? Because if it is registered in November, the investigations and the questioning will be happening now. And if anything, Rujira isn't really a suspect or an accused. She's been questioned as a witness.
First of all, very good evening to Marya, very good evening to my co-panelists. Now, there are certain pertinent points here. CBI is doing an investigation, like you have said. It might be, innocent that they are just following the protocol. And obviously, as you can see, that Mr. Banerjee's wife and her sister-in-law both are cooperating with the investigation. Nothing more to it. But you have to also understand the chronology of events, the timing of it. 5 days ago, Abhishek Banerjee filed a defamation case against Amit Shah. And then, another panelist said, that Pamela Goswami, the state secretary of BJP Youth Morcha, was caught with 100 grams of cocaine, where she pointed out finger at Kailash Vijayvargiya and Rakesh Singh. And on the third day, a notice is served to Abhishek Banerjee's wife. So, these questions will be asked. Now, I want to make a point here. All the BJP people, they act as if they are judge, jury and execution. But they have to understand, whatever they are talking about Rujira Banerjee, their allegations not proven. So, on basis of that, I will also give up a pertinent point here. Out of all the MPs that have been elected and selected in 2019, 113 sitting MPs of BJP have serious criminal cases. Some even have rape cases against them. And talking about people with serious charges, there is
Rujira respond to this charge.
Investigation. Marya, 10 seconds. Rujira Banerjee is a part of an investigation. She is not proven guilty. But unfortunately, the Home Minister of our country was in jail for 3 months in 2010.
Guru Prakash?
The sheer desperation of my friend from the TMC is actually very telling. when the focus of the BJP is Jan Kalyan, Pankti mein khade antim vyakti ka kalyan, the focus of TMC is Bhatija Kalyan. And now after all these raids, let me tell you this very clearly that CBI is an independent and an autonomous institution. CBI doesn't consult an astrologer. They don't look for any muhurat ki kab chapa marna hai, kab chapa nahi marna hai. You are raising question on the credibility of an established institution. This is beyond my comprehension. Please focus on your party. The amount of energy that you are focusing on Bharatiya Janata Party, sir, had you focused the same amount of energy on the people of West Bengal, they might have given a second thought. But the sheer desperation that you are displaying is absolutely shocking. The amount of support, the groundswell which we are getting from our leaders' rallies, the people of West Bengal seem to have made up their mind. They have seemed to have made up their mind on the similar 2019 election when we were just 4% behind you in terms of vote share. They sent 18 member of parliament.
Riju,
So
10 seconds to
we
you
look
and then
forward
I'll
to
go
it.
back to
Yeah.
the two analysts.
Yes. You know, we had a PM in this country who never used to speak much, but at least he didn't lie. You know, in Hooghly, when our Honorable Prime Minister came to open the projects and so-called gift it to the people of Bengal, these are the same projects which were, the foundation stone was laid by Mamta Banerjee, the then Rail Minister in 2010. First of all. Secondly, my dear friend Guru Prakash talks about Jan Kalyan here. What we have done in 10 years is in black and white. What you guys have done from 2 crore, false promises of 2 crore jobs, 10% GDP growth, 5 trillion economy, 100 smart cities.
Okay.
It has all
Okay, fine.
it has
Let's
10
come
seconds,
back
10
to
seconds.
okay.
Just
Let's
10
come
seconds,
back
Marya.
to this
10 seconds.
story and the
10
developing
seconds.
story
Let me
today.
finish my point.
Okay.
Let me finish my
Okay,
point.
go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is, after all your promises, GDP all-time low, employment all-time high, petrol at 100 rupees, and the middle class they're getting decimated.
Okay.
So we don't need to
Okay,
do any
Radhika and
anti-campaign
Sabha.
against it.
Radhika, coming to you now. Mamta Banerjee visits her nephew but remains silent. That's quite unusual, isn't it? 2 years ago, when a team of CBI officers had gone to the then Kolkata Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar's residence, they were promptly detained by the state police forces. Mamta Banerjee had rushed to his home to resist any kind of investigation. This silence of Mamta Banerjee and her presence, what is it communicating?
Yeah, you know, this point that you made about Rajiv Kumar, I was about to say that because it's gone viral on social media. You know, people have started contrasting her pro-activism during Rajiv Kumar's arrest. When she rushed, she was also very vocal. She made a number of statements
Yes.
and giving an impression that she is going to stand by him to the very last. So in contrast, she was silent on her nephew so far until today when she decided to visit. And
Yes.
even then, she didn't say a word. She didn't sort of holler or, you know, she didn't rant or say anything of that sort. So, I mean, it's being asked, is she trying to distance herself? That's not possible. I mean, she cannot distance herself from her nephew. He's an elected MP from her party. He's also, I mean, you know, he's almost like an heir apparent of the TMC. So at this stage, it is very difficult for Mamta to tactically or otherwise distance herself from her nephew. Now, in the coming days, it will be very interesting to see how the campaign unfolds because having the CBI having gone for the jugular is not going to give up. You know, elections are coming closer, and this is typical of any government. You know, use a case closer to the election, corner the ruling party. So I would be very interested in watching Mamta's response,
Yes,
how
and
she crafts her response.
yes.
And whether this is going to add to her feeling of victimhood, you know, which she has been playing in her own way. And I'm not going to sit in judgment on whether she's going to be successful or whether the BJP is going to be successful. It's very hard to tell at this point. She's giving a good fight. She's fighting a battle. So I'll be interested in to see how she frames this whole episode regarding her nephew and his wife.
Okay, Sabha, you know, talking about that episode only, Mamta Banerjee did not stop at just being present there. The same night, she started a sit-in demonstration at Kolkata's Esplanade area to protest against the centre's interference, what she said, in the state's affair. And here she goes, she remains silent, but she is present just minutes before the CBI team were to question the nephew's wife. The question again is, what is she trying to communicate? The larger political message that in her silence, yes, she is backing him, but he is also the one behind, the reason behind the exit of several people. Mukul Roy said that it is because of the rise of, Abhishek Banerjee. So did Suvendu Adhikari and several others.
So here's the, I had no that there were many factors when a person leaves a particular party, and there's also monetary gain and benefit. I mean, you have wholesale defections nowadays. We live in an age of wholesale defections. And let us not fool ourselves that this is done entirely due to personal differences and ideological differences. We cannot even talk about the rates which one is told are currently there in Bengal. I'm not going to go there. I'll make one point very simple. The issue with the police commissioner was an issue, probably from her perspective, about federalism. It was an issue of state power being encroached upon. It would be wise for her, because this is probably more tactful for her. This is a very, very close contest. She has 2 terms before her. She has completed 2 terms. There's a huge amount of anti-incumbency, and the BJP has filled in the space for the opposition. Will it be enough? We don't know. BJP is unleashing everything in its arsenal, from investigative agencies to good deals. It is also purchasing those precisely corrupt people who have been caught on camera. I repeat, and I would love the BJP spokesman to tell me, do you think Pamela Goswami and the entire charges that she has thrown around should be investigated with the energy with which the CBI that you say is free has investigated Bollywood personalities just less than a year ago? Do you think Suvendu Adhikari and Mukul Roy were trapped by the Narada scam when they were taking bribes? What is your view on such lofty matters?
Okay.
Let's
Guru
ask.
Prakash?
One can give you more names. So let's get an answer to that.
Okay, Guru Prakash?
Let me say this very clearly that Mr. Mukul Roy, Mr. Suvendu Adhikari, they are still being questioned. Let's not fool ourselves. I seriously don't understand this. I can also pass on the dates on which the questioning happened. So this beating around the bush doesn't help anyone. But I have a very fundamental problem with this, Marya, that you raise question mark on the credibility of institution. When the Supreme Court goes against you, Supreme Court kharab hai. When you lose election, Election Commission kharab hai. So this politics doesn't help anyone. CBI has been in existence for very long. Enforcement Directorate has been in existence for very long. This politics of convenience, the politics of hamari mange puri ho, chahe jo majburi ho, this is unacceptable. So let's have faith in the institution. Let's have faith in the constitutionally mandated institution as well. So I seriously don't understand this politics of beating around the bush. They are still being questioned. They are still being investigated. And let's wait for the outcome. Whatever it is, we'll abide by it.
Then I will go back to the question that I had asked Riju Datta. Because the case was registered in November, the investigation and the questioning will be happening in the month of February. So what is really political about this move? Why should it be seen as vindictive politics?
Again, I will tell you, Marya, and your viewers, the chronology and the timing. I have told you about the Bengal chronology. Now let's take the national chronology. Elections in Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot's house and his brother's house, CBI raided. Elections in Madhya Pradesh, Kamal Nath raided by CBI. Elections in Karnataka, Kumraswamy was raided. Elections in Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal was raided by CBI. Why? If you are doing the investigation for 365 days, why do you go for with search warrants and FIR notices, FIRs and notices and summons just 7 days before election? That is my question. If CBI would have been so doodh ka dhula hua and they are not answering to their masters, they can do the procedure at their own beck and call. Why exactly 7 days or 10 days before elections in that particular state? And why only of the opposition? Why not of the people sitting in the ruling government? That is what again I'm saying, the chronology and the timing.
Okay,
What
Guru,
about
respond to
Hemant
this.
Biswa Sarma? Answer me. What about Hemant Biswa Sarma? They are his closest aide now.
Okay, Guru, the charge is that the BJP is like a washing machine. You switch sides, you may be coming with some kind of baggage. That happened. Look at Mukul Roy, the example being given also of Suvendu Adhikari.
Marya, BJP is not like a washing machine, but we are like a vacuum cleaner. Anywhere in the society, if we see dirt, if we see corruption, if we see traces of opaqueness, we'll definitely clean it. And it's the prerogative of a political party. You see, Bhaiya, baat sun lo yaar. Riju bhai, I was not speaking when you were speaking.
Go ahead.
Let's have that decency.
Guru, please.
The amount, yes. No. Yes. No. You see, the amount of focus that you are putting us on transparency. You tell me, did you share the data with Niti Aayog when it comes to socio-economic indicators? Human trafficking, West Bengal tops the number. Crime against women, West Bengal 5th in number. Look at the data on per capita income. Look at the data on institutional deliveries. You should do some introspection, sir. You are not able to hold together your party. You are not able to hold together your state. You are not able to take care of the aspirations of the people of West Bengal. Now you are raising question mark on us. You meet us in the political battlefield and let's battle it out. Raising question on these institutions, it's not appropriate.
Okay.
These are
Don't raise
constitutional
questions
statutory
on institutions.
sir. And whoever wins,
Riju?
whoever wins, sir, whoever wins or whoever loses, the sanctity of this institution must remain, Marya.
Right. But the question, Guru, just to go into my narrative, I just want to say the questions are raised on institutions when a verdict is given in favor of the ruling government and the ex or the retired judge gets a straight away Rajya Sabha berth. So questions people will ask, you see.
Okay.
But now when we talked about what are the pertinent points, and we don't have any pertinent points, let me just inform him that the central government has awarded the state government number 1 in Menrega, number 1 in MSME, number 1 in engineering, number 1 in e-governance, number 1 in skill development, number 1 in Kisan Yojanas for 5 years.
Let me go back to the two women on the panel and they get the final words. I'm going to begin with you, Sabha. Sabha, look at the narrative yesterday. Bengal's own daughter versus the one who has failed daughters and sisters. What the Prime Minister said, taking a jibe at the new slogan. There is this narrative of Bengali versus not Bengali, outsider versus insider. Now again, the syndicate, Raj and cut money. It's a huge canvas. The point is, what will decide battle for Bengal?
Look, I really think it's back to that the BJP has really put in the last mile connectivity, right? Which new parties take a while doing so. They have been able to entice, lure a lot of Mamta's people also, and they've been able to manage that. So that anti-incumbency space, if they can do the last mile connectivity, the BJP it's going to be a tough battle from all appearances. The BJP clearly thinks they have a go at it because they're throwing everything there. The tradition, so we literally, it's one of those things that would be foolish without traveling to Bengal to start speculating. But but I would say that I would agree with the BJP spokesperson on one point. I also am deeply concerned about the institutions having to be called out, but the problem is not in the wordage that I use or X uses or Y uses. The problem is in what is happening to the institutions. It's in actions. It's actions that count. Words follow what actions take place.
Okay.
And there is a clear chronology. That's all.
Okay. Radhika.
Agree with Sabha. Without traveling to West Bengal, it's futile speculating, but from all appearances, the BJP has pulled out all the stops, full marks to the BJP for running I would certainly say it's one of the most brilliant election campaigns in India. Textbook case for any political scientist to study. I mean, you have elements from religion, elements of identity politics, corruption, dynasty, what have you.
Cultural
Everything
icons.
is coalesced now into a package. Now we just have to see how it plays out in the penultimate phase. Mamta stands alone. There's no doubt. I mean, she is alone and she's battling this whole formidable lineup of leaders from Delhi. So it's right there unfolding before us, and we just have to see what happens now.
But then if she is fighting alone, then will she feel the pressure? Of course, it's evident pressure, but what about the sympathy? Because she is she's saying that I'm trying to save the identity of the state.
Yes, it reminds me of the 1995 elections, if I'm right, in Bihar, when Lalu was besieged by everybody, including the Congress. Of course, there was the BJP and there were his opponents in Bihar. There was the election commission which was then headed by Mr. T.N. Seshan, who gave him a very bad time. And there was Lalu battling all alone, everybody writing him off, including the Congress. and he emerged victorious, So it's this business about, I mean, Indians are very emotional at a certain level.
All right.
They don't always think with their heads while voting. The heart also plays out.
Yes, and sentiments and emotions do as well. Radhika and Sabha, always a pleasure to have you on my shows. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Guru Prakash and Riju Datta as well. That's all from me, a story that will be continued to track very, very closely here on CNN News 18. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.